We have a confession. We're totally obsessed with the Loud House. Today, we're showing you some of our favorite moments most fans have totally forgot about. Stay tuned to find out which moment completely melted our hearts and made us fall in love with this show even more.
Lincoln Loud in the house!
Oh yeah!
Don't forget to hit that notification bell to never miss another video, and be sure to check out our community section for even more fun. Now let's check out some of the most hilarious Loud House moments you totally forgot about. LuAnn loses her confidence in comedy. The Loud House might be just another wacky Nickelodeon show, but it actually comes with a lot of important life lessons. Almost every episode comes with a lesson you can use in your own life. But we really loved the Season 2 episode 21 called No Laughing Matter. LuAnn isn't always the focus of the episodes, but she is in this one. As the prankster of the family, LuAnn can be seen as slightly annoying, but that doesn't mean she doesn't totally stop with the jokes.
How do turtles talk to each other? On their shell phones!
In that episode, we've seen LuAnn prank every single one of her siblings. And since they were pretty over her pranks, they weren't exactly happy. LuAnn overheard them saying how annoying she is with her jokes. Of course, this hurt LuAnn's feelings. How could it not? It was a heartbreaking moment that made LuAnn completely shut down. The siblings managed to resolve their differences, and by the end of the episode, LuAnn was back to her old punny self. We all know her puns are just amazing. Anyways, this was just one of those episodes that serves as a reminder to be nice to people. You never know who will overhear your comments and what effect that might have on their life. Lincoln thinks he'll get kicks from the house. Speaking of overhearing things, how could we possibly forget about this moment? It comes from one of the episodes hardcore Loud House fans have a love-hate relationship with. Season 1, Episode 9B is easily one of the most heartbreaking episodes ever, and not a fun one to watch. The story focuses on Lincoln, who overhears their parents talking about getting rid of a large collection of ties. Of course, Lincoln doesn't hear the tie part and thinks they actually mean they're getting rid of one of the loud kids. The situation is even worse when Lincoln later overhears that his dad has decided to get rid of the one with the white hair. He meant hair as in the rabbit, but Lincoln clearly thought he was talking about him. He does have white hair after all. Completely heartbroken, Lincoln actually thinks that his parents are actually going to get rid of him. How terrible is that? That's pretty traumatic for any child to experience. Of course, everything ends up being resolved, and Lincoln does find out that his parents were actually talking about ties. But this is one of those moments where our hearts collectively broke for Lincoln. Lincoln actually getting kicked out. And it wasn't the only moment that made our hearts break. Let's be honest, Lincoln has to go through a lot as the only boy in such a large family. It's something that's often criticized by fans who just can't understand why his sisters pick on him so much. Lincoln always tends to help everyone, but he doesn't always get the same back. It's the middle child curse, isn't it? But in the No Such Luck episode, Lincoln pretty much gets kicked out of any family activities. Seriously, they might as well kick him out of the house. And the reason was that he was seen as bad luck. It all started with Len losing her game when Lincoln was there, and it quickly spread to the rest of the family. At some point, Lincoln is pretty much removed from all family events, and he even has to sleep outside. And it was all because Lincoln played along with the fact that Len thought he was bad luck. Poor Lincoln. He has to go through so much drama. As with every Loud episode, everything eventually gets resolved, but it's just one of those moments even fans don't really want to rewatch. When Ronnie Ann left. Ronnie Ann is definitely one of the most interesting characters on the show outside of the Loud family. We're first introduced to her as Lincoln's class bully, but it actually turns out that she has a bit of a crush on Lincoln. We're still not exactly sold on that life lesson from Nickelodeon, but that's not the point here. In Season 2, Episode 13, we're introduced to Ronnie Ann's family. We really know Bobby, who's actually Lauri's boyfriend. But we have no idea about the other members of the Casa Grande family. It was completely heartbreaking seeing Ronnie Ann get so sad about leaving. But one of the reasons why you should always remember this episode is because it leads to something else. It's actually an introduction episode to the Loud House spin-off show. It's focusing on Ronnie Ann and her family and their adjustment to the big city life. Nickelodeon ordered 20 episodes, so we'll be getting plenty of more fun from Ronnie Ann. So if you totally totally forgot about Season 2, Episode 13, you should rewatch it because it'll lead to the spinoff. Just make sure that you don't watch it if you're in the process of moving house yourself. When Lisa got to work at an institute, we all know Lisa is wise beyond her years. Well, she has to be considering she's only 4 years old.
Come on, Lincoln. No one in this family ever willingly lets me do experiments on them.
We don't get to see a lot of special moments like this on the Loud House, but this is one that was definitely a highlight. Remember when Lisa got to actually study at a science institute in Season 3? What 4-year-old gets to do that? This particular episode is called The Mad Scientist, and we just love that all the focus gets to be on Lisa. She actually breaks into song at some point, and she gets to explain Einstein's theory of time travel. The biggest LOL moment comes when she video calls her family and tells them she'd like to stay at the institute. She explains that her passion for science stands at about 97% and the emotional attachment to her family is just at 1%. To be honest, we see it. This is Lisa we're talking about after all. If you're the independent one in your family, you know exactly what Lisa was feeling when she tried to convince her parents to stay at the institute. Of course, later on, Lisa's emotional attachment levels changed, but this was absolutely hilarious to see. We love seeing Lisa so passionate about science. When Lenny made everyone eat old sandwiches. Tripped is the very first episode of Season 3, so naturally people had high expectations when it came out. But luckily for the creators of the show, it was actually a pretty hilarious episode. One of the best moments comes from the road trip lunchtime. We all know Lenny isn't exactly the brightest of the bunch.
Trick or treat! Spider!
But she makes things absolutely hilarious. So when lunchtime came, the family decided to eat Lenny's sandwiches. Of course, they all got pretty sick. Lenny then revealed that her sandwiches were weeks old, and we know why. Because she planned ahead of time and made these sandwiches weeks before they even went on the trip. Oh, Lenny, this started the downhill of the entire vacation, but it's by far one of the most hilarious episodes. Lesson learned: never plan your sandwiches that much in advance because they'll get spoiled. We don't even want to know exactly how old Lenny's sandwiches were, but by the looks of it, they sound pretty gross. Seriously, just don't plan eating a sandwich weeks in advance. They're best when they're eaten fresh. When the Loud sisters acted like they don't have a brother, we already said that Lincoln goes through a lot in this house, right? Well, fans have pointed out several episodes in which they think Lincoln's being treated totally unfairly. In Season 1, Episode 2B, called Making the Case, Lincoln showed us what it's like to live in a large family. In this episode, we see Lincoln filming funny things his sisters did and uploading the videos to the internet. Obviously, he doesn't let his sisters know, which is a huge no. This was definitely wrong on his part. All of his sisters immediately got angry, and even though he explained his reasoning for it, they didn't really forgive him. They were so furious they ended up completely disowning him, and for the rest of the time, they pretty much pretended they have no brother. Lincoln did try to apologize, but of course, nobody really listened to him. Although Lincoln definitely made a mistake, especially since his videos were extremely humiliating. We want to know what you think. Did he deserve this treatment from his sisters? It's not like they really like him in other episodes. He always seems to get into some kind of trouble. When Lauri tried to make Bobby jealous. Season 1 is just full of amazing moments, but one of the most hilarious ones comes from an episode called Affair to Remember. In this episode, we see Bobby and Lincoln become best bros, to the point where Bobby starts kind of neglecting Lauri. Of course, Lauri isn't happy about that, and she tries to get back at him. She knows Clyde is madly in love with her, so she invites him to take him to the fair where Bobby and Lincoln are hanging out. Clyde is clearly passed out because he just can't believe he got a date with Lauri, but Lauri still drags him around. Lauri even flirts with him at some point just to make Bobby jealous. Of course, this isn't how you should deal with problems in your relationships, but we just feel for Clyde because he finally got his dream come true, but he missed it because he basically passed out. Poor Clyde. It's also kind of cute how Lincoln doesn't want to lose the friendship he has with Bobby, especially since he doesn't really have a lot of male role models in his life. Seriously, this is one episode you have to rewatch. when Lynn said there were not enough balls in Lincoln's room. Nickelodeon is known for its subtle, inappropriate jokes that often go over kids' heads, but we promise you that a parent has definitely raised an eyebrow when watching The Loud House. One such episode comes from Season 1, Episode 6B, called Space Invader. We've covered this episode a lot in other videos, but we feel like people totally forgot about this moment. Lynn and Lucy don't always get along, and in this episode, they end up having a fight. They're complete polar opposites, so it's natural they sometimes don't get along. Lynn doesn't really want to sleep in Lucy's room, so she asks Lincoln if she can stay there. But Lynn has zero boundaries whatsoever. She plays with his toys and is quite rude, despite the fact that Lincoln told her to not touch anything. But the most eyebrow-raising moment comes when she brings in sports balls and tells Lincoln that his room has a lack of balls. The pause after definitely indicated that this was an innuendo. It gets even more suspicious because this comedic pause was completely removed from the UK episode.
I'm noticing a complete lack of balls in this room.
Lincoln definitely couldn't deal with Lynn during that episode, and it was hilarious to see. Luna's crush, L is for Love, is the 12B episode of Season 2, and it's one of our favorite ones. Sure, the episode actually got banned in Russia and Malaysia because of their views on the LGBTQ plus community, but we think it's absolutely adorable the way the creators decided to tell the story of Luna's crush. Of course, we think people should be more concerned with the fact that the kids went to meet a stranger at a restaurant, but the most adorable moment that people totally forgot about comes from the very end. It all starts with a love letter that's addressed to a certain L Loud. This is totally useless because all of the Loud kids have names that start with the letter L. The kids try to find out who this letter is addressed to, and it turns out it is their parents. At the end of the episode, they each send a letter to their own crush, but Luna is the most nervous one to do that. She does end up leaving her letter in her crush's locker room. That's where we find out that she has a crush on a girl called Sam. How adorable. It's by far one of our favorite moments ever. What's your favorite but underrated moment of The Loud House? Come let us know in the comments. And that's it for our video. Don't forget to subscribe to The Things for more videos like this one. Thanks for watching. See you next time.